We are finishing up what we started last week because we didn't get finished because it was really long. But that's what we're going with. But Balaam's donkey. Let's talk about Balaam's donkey. Let's review real quick because we have a few people who weren't here last week. Balaam was a prophet. He was also a sorcerer. And I always thought he was a Jew, but actually he's a Gentile. Didn't know that. However, he does call the Lord my God. So even though he's a Gentile, he claims to personally know God because he says, my God. He basically had the king come and ask him to curse Israel. The king of the Moabites said, I want you to come. I'm going to hire you. I'm going to pay you to curse Israel. And the messengers came and told Balaam, this is what the king wants. He's going to reward you. Balaam was Balaam looked after Balaam. He took care of himself and he did what profited Balaam. But he also did know God, so he had that fear of the Lord. So he tells the messengers, well, let me ask God and see what he says. So he did. And God said unto Balaam, thou shalt not go with them. Thou shalt not curse the people, for they are blessed. Case closed. No. There's no misunderstanding that. No. So Balaam says, okay, fine. You could go back to your king Balak and tell him, God won't let me. I'd love to, but God won't let me. So that's what he tells him. And then you can see there, the Lord refuseth to give me leave. The Lord won't let me. Wah, wah. So Balak doesn't give up, King Balak. And like I said, Balak and Balaam sound a lot alike. So if I say the wrong one, Balak, the king, he wasn't happy with that answer. So he sent more messengers, this time princes. He thought maybe if I send, them more persuasive or more powerful or whatever, I'll go ahead and send them. And I'll promise him even more. You can have a place in the kingdom and riches, whatever you want. I'll give you whatever you want if you'll come curse Israel. Because he was a sorcerer, so he could cast a spell kind of thing. And Balaam answered and said unto the servants of Balak, if Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the word of the Lord my God to do less or more. You give me everything you have, and I can't do it. Good answer. Unfortunately, Balaam kept talking. Sometimes we need to learn when to shut up. Balaam kept talking, and he said, now therefore I pray you, tarry ye here this night, that I may know what the Lord will say unto me more. In other words, I'm going to go ask God again. I may have misunderstood him. It was kind of unclear, It wasn't really a no. It was kind of more of a maybe wait. Let me go ask him again. Sometimes God does say wait. Sometimes God's answer isn't very clear. In this case, it was quite clear. No, you're not going to go. You're not going to curse. My people are blessed. I mean, it was abundantly clear. There was no misunderstanding. But he says, well, I'm going to ask God again, So he does. God came unto Balaam at night and said unto him, if the men come to call thee, rise up and go with them. But yet the word which I shall say unto you, that shall you do. In other words, God said, you want to go? Fine, go. Now remember, and keep in mind, because this is important because of the next verse, keep in mind, God told him flat out, no.
Got my picture.
God told him flat out, no. And yet Balaam came back and asked again. Maybe God will change his mind. And sorry, but we're guilty of doing the same thing. So God says, you want to go? Fine, go. Go. Go do it. You're going to do what you want to anyway. Just go. Now, how should Balaam have responded to that?
Sounds dangerous.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Okay, God, I don't really like that tone. I mean, I've heard my parents when I've asked, you want to do it? Fine, go do it. And you know what that tone told me? This is a stupid idea.
Probably be consequences.
Yeah, there's going to be consequences. And usually, not always, I'm afraid, but usually I say, no, because you told me no. And you wouldn't have told me no if there wasn't a reason. Balaam should have said, well, yes, it would profit me. Yes, I have stuff to gain. And yes, I could get a place in the kingdom and money and power. But what's it going to cost me? Because, God, you did say no. So, I won't go. That's what Balaam should have said. What Balaam actually did, and Balaam rose up in the morning and saddled his donkey. And I'm using the word donkey because I just can't bring myself to say that word. I was raised that was not a good word. And I know it's talking about a donkey, but still. And he went with the princes of Moab. Yay, God changed his mind. Yay for me, I can do what I want to. Or did he? But God's anger was kindled. And when I first read that, I thought, well, God told him to go. But again, it was the way he told him. If you're going to have your way, just... God didn't want him to go. And it was quite obvious by the first time he told him no. And the second time, I'm sure there was, if you're going to go, go. So Balaam just gets up on his little donkey and says, yay, I'm going. And God's anger was kindled because he went. And this is actually where we left off last week. We didn't get very far. And the angel of the Lord stood in the way for an adversary against him. Now he was riding upon his donkey, and his 2 servants were with him. So, I'm going to have my way. And God says, okay, you go right ahead. I have somebody waiting for you. And it's an angel. The angel of the Lord. And we know sometimes the angel of the Lord is God himself. Whether it is in this case, I don't know. But there was an angel there as an adversary. In other words, I'm not on your side. God was angry. Angry. And we know the story. The angel had a sword. And he was standing there in the way. Balaam was so caught up in what Balaam wanted that Balaam only had eyes for Balaam. Sound familiar? God standing there, or God's angel, the representative of God, is standing there with a sword, and Balaam never saw him. Because Balaam had his eyes elsewhere. Balaam had his eyes elsewhere. So the donkey, on the other hand, he sees the angel just fine. And he sees that sword, and it looks mighty sharp. So here's this angel blocking the path, so the donkey goes whoop and turns into this field. Well, of course, Balaam doesn't see the angel, so he doesn't know why the donkey turned off the path, which is kind of unusual. Donkeys like the path more than treading through, field. But he starts beating the poor little donkey. beat. And says, get back on the path. So he pulls him back on the path. Well, they get a little further down, and here's this angel again. And there's walls on either side, so he can't go out into the field. So instead he turns, and he crushes Balaam's foot against the wall, between the donkey and the wall. And I think this is funny. He gets mad, but the way he gets mad, he says something about being embarrassed, because my servants are, his servants were with him, and probably the messengers from Moab, and he was embarrassed because he got his foot smashed. Wah, you poor little thing. And yet you hear the pride there. I'm embarrassed. You embarrassed me. Balaam still got his eyes on Balaam. So he still doesn't see this angel, and this donkey, bless his heart, he's getting beat and going, hey, dude, I'm trying to save your life here, Of course, he's not literally saying it yet. Third time, here's this angel again, standing in the path, and there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. There's no wall, there's no field, there is no place to go. So the donkey just drops to his knees. He just drops down. I'm not going any further. Well, that just did Balaam in. And Balaam gets off, and he just beating that poor little donkey. But this is the best part. Yay! I love how the Lord works. And the Lord opened the mouth of the donkey. Okay, Balaam, this is how much sense you have. We're going to let the donkey talk to you. You didn't listen to God. Let's see if you'll listen to the donkey. And she said unto Balaam, what have I done unto thee, that thou hast smitten me these 3 times? What did I do to you, dude? I'm saving your life. Okay, I talk to my dogs, but they don't usually talk to me. They whine, they whimper, they howl. You know, ooh, I want my breakfast. But they don't talk to me in words. If they did, I might be calling some of you saying, I think I've lost my mind. I think it's gone. But Balaam, okay, his donkey just talks to him. And Balaam said unto the donkey. No, Balaam was shocked. Balaam stood in awe. Balaam scratched his head and goes, huh? No, he just answers. Okay, what in the world, Balaam? Your donkey is talking to you. Do you not find that the least bit odd? I mean, we know in the Garden of Eden when the serpent was talking to Eve, that seemed kind of odd and she wasn't surprised, but maybe because in the Garden of Eden, animals could talk. I don't know. This is not the Garden of Eden. This is out here, and this donkey that he's had all this time, all of a sudden, just decides that he's going to talk. And Balaam says, okay, well, I'm going to argue with you because you've mocked me. See, you embarrassed me. You mocked me. I would that there were a sword in my hand, for now I would kill thee. Well, temper tantrum. My goodness. You made me, you embarrassed me in front of my friends, so I wish I had a sword. I would kill you. I'm thinking that donkey's thinking, well, I know where you can get one. I'm looking at one.
Should have just dumped him off.
I guess that's, the Lord was directing that because I've been like, you know what? You just go. You help yourself, Balaam. You just go. You want a sword? Oh, you'll get a sword. Not the way you intend. Oh my goodness. But like I said, we know God is in this. We know that God is controlling this donkey. We know God's speaking through this donkey. Balaam's having his little hissy fit, You made me mad. He's got pride. He's got anger. And his donkey basically goes back and talks to him again, which, again, Balaam's not surprised. And he says, well, look, haven't I been with you for a long time? Have I ever done this before? And I'm thinking, done this like rebelled or done this like talked?
That's true.
Neither. He says, have I ever done this before? And Balaam's like, well, no. No, you've always been a good donkey. You've always done what I've told you to do. You've never, gone your own way. Okay, And then look what happens. The Lord opened the eyes of Balaam. Hello. Open your eyes and look around. Get your eyes off yourself for a minute and what you want. And look what's happening around you. And he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way and his sword drawn in his hand. In other words, he was ready to strike. And he bowed down his head and fell flat on his face. Oh, I see now. You ever have one of those moments where you have to go back and go, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That was so stupid. I didn't see the big picture. Balaam didn't see the big picture. He was missing a really big part of the big picture. He didn't see it. So now he's beat this poor little donkey, and now he has to say, oh, I'm sorry. But he doesn't say, I'm sorry. He doesn't. Look at what he says. Oh, my goodness. And Balaam said unto the angel of the Lord, I have sinned. You're right, buddy, you have. Good answer. For I knew not that thou stoodest in the way against me. I didn't think I'd get caught. I didn't know you were watching. Not I've sinned because I did the wrong thing, but I've sinned because I got caught. You ever heard a child say, I'm sorry, Or are you sorry that you did it, or are you sorry that you got caught doing it? Which one is it? Balaam says, I've sinned, for I knew not that thou stoodest in the way. I didn't know you were there. I didn't know you were watching. Do we only do the right thing when somebody's watching? Because guess what? God's always watching.
Amen.
God's always watching. But it gets worse. Now, therefore, if it displease thee, I will get me back again. If. if it's made you mad, if you're unhappy. There's an angel with a sword ready to kill you if it's made you mad, if it's displeased you. Duh! Do you think God's angry? Yeah. He told you not to go. You went anyway. You ignored the angel. Now you said, I've sinned because I got caught. And if it displeases you, I'll go back. This guy, oh my word, learn the lesson. But he doesn't. And the angel of the Lord said unto Balaam, go with the men, but only the word that I shall speak unto thee, that thou shalt speak. In other words, you can go, but you better say what I say. Got it, buddy? I'm getting fed up with you. Got it? You say what I say. So Balaam went with the princes of Balak. And this time God really meant go, but he really meant what he said too. You say what I tell you to say. Nothing more, nothing less. Will Balaam do it? And Balaam said unto Balak, who is the king, Lo, I have come unto thee. Have I now any power at all to say anything? The word that God putteth in my mouth, that shall I speak. You hear his little temper tantrum again? I'm not allowed to say anything. The only thing I can say is what God tells me to say. Wow. I can't decide if he reminds me more of like a little 5-year-old or a teenager. You know how those teenagers get in those moody, I can't say anything to you, I can't say anything. I can't say anything. I'm not allowed to say anything except what God tells me to say. Well, wah. So Balak says, well, we'll do the offerings to God, and maybe then he'll let you. So he took him up to this hill where you could overlook Israel, and he did the 7 altars, and he did the offerings and everything. And God basically told him, no. He said, Moab's going to be destroyed by Israel, just like I told them from the get-go. So Balaam tells Balak, this is what God said. And Balak says, well, let's try again. So he takes him to another mountain, and they do the whole thing over again. And guess what God says? No, absolutely not. Israel will prevail. So Balaam tells Balak, this is what God said. One more time, he takes him to another mountain. I'm thinking, good grief. Get the hint, really? Takes him. And God says, nope. Moab's going to be destroyed. Moab's going to be destroyed. And this is part of the prophecy. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob. That's Christ. And a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Sheth. Wow. In other words, say your prayers, you're going. You're going bye-bye. You're going bye-bye. So, Balak was mad. Balaam was mad because he didn't get his money, obviously, because he told bad news and he didn't curse Israel. So he was mad, Or was he? Looks like the story ends there, but you have to read a little further to find out that it doesn't. Next chapter, okay? And Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. Guess who they were just going back and forth with? Moab. And they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods, and the people did eat and bowed down their gods. So, all of a sudden, Israel is doing all these bad things with Moab. They're sinning with Moab, they're worshiping their gods, and it's like, how did that happen? I mean, it literally was the next verse. And you're thinking, how in the world did that happen? What happened? We have to read a few more chapters to find out what happened. Behold, these caused the children of Israel through the counsel of, guess who? Balaam, to commit trespass against the Lord in the matter of Peor. And there was a plague among the congregation of the Lord. Goes on all the way in Revelation. We're still talking about Balaam. But I have a few things against thee, because thou hast there them that hold the doctrine of Balaam, Guess who? Who taught Balak, guess who, to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed unto idols, and to commit fornication. So basically what happened is Balaam said, well, I can't curse Israel. God won't let me. Remember, I can only say what God said. But let me give you a little friendly advice. If you really want to destroy Israel, let them destroy themselves. You send in your pretty girls. Have them invite them over to a barbecue where we'll serve and worship some other gods. Let them see how much fun it is. And, just kind of get friendly with them. And he did. And there we go. Did Balaam ever learn his lesson? Basically, Balaam said, well, God won't let me do it this way. I'll just do it my own way. I'll go in the back door. I didn't curse Israel. I just gave the king, the enemy, some secrets of how to bring Israel down.
He probably got paid anyway.
And he probably got paid. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, and I'm sure he got paid for that very generous information. And all the way in Revelation, we're still hearing about Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block. I won't curse the people, but a little friendly advice. We better be careful. When God says no, that doesn't mean find another way. Some people think, when God shuts the door, he opens a window. Sometimes maybe, but sometimes I think we open that window. God closed the door, so I'm not happy, so I'm climbing out the window. Balaam did that, and it got all of Israel in trouble. It nearly destroyed them. And the only reason it didn't destroy them is because Israel was God's chosen people, and he had already promised them deliverance. If not, there wouldn't be an Israel, I don't think. Because of one man saying, I'm going to do it my way. We so often think that our sin is our sin, and it's not going to hurt anybody else, but we don't know that. And it's a heavy burden, but we got to be careful because our sin may hurt other people. It's bad enough that it hurts us, but something about hurting other people that I think affects us a little bit more. We don't want to cause others to stray. So we don't want to be like Balaam. Balaam's donkey's the good guy in this story. Yep. So we want to be more like the donkey who was paying attention and had his eyes open to the right thing rather than Balaam himself, because I think Balaam was the donkey in the story. Truth be told. Okay? So let's be careful and make sure if God says no, then we say, yes, Lord. Yeah. Yes, Lord. And be happy with that. Because he has a reason. And it's for our good.